Hello, film fans. What up? It's your boy Tay, and this is Tay Talks Talkies. Air, directed by Ben Affleck, starring Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Viola Davis, Jason Bateman, Marlon Wayans, Chris Tucker. This movie rocks. If you love sports, if you love basketball, if you love 80s music, if you love well-crafted movies, go see Air immediately. I had a blast. The first thing I want to talk about is the soundtrack. All throughout the film, banger after banger after banger after banger. I think this movie has the best soundtrack I've ever heard of all time. Yes, that means it might even be better than Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, which I hold in the highest regard. There was a person behind me that wouldn't stop singing the entire time. At first I was annoyed, but I convinced myself, hey, they're having fun. That's all that matters. But anyway, the movie's a blast. It's a very light movie. We don't have all this gravitas. We don't have melodrama injected into it. No one's life is at stake here. Just their livelihoods, just their jobs, which is pretty heavy stakes, but not the world-ending, life-ending stakes we're so used to in modern Hollywood. No, we just get guys who want to keep their job. In fact, we have Sonny Vaccaro, who has a team around him that really entrusts him. Phil Knight, Chris Tucker's character, Jason Bateman's character, all of these guys entrust themselves into Sonny Vaccaro to such a degree that if this deal falls through, if Sonny Vaccaro cannot successfully sign Michael Jordan to Nike, Nike's gonna really hurt. It's gonna hurt big time, and it's not gonna ever become the monster we know it is today. The standout performances of this movie are Matt Damon as Sonny Vaccaro and Viola Davis as Michael Jordan's mother, Dolores Jordan. She is fantastic, and I think Michael and his mother, I believe she's still alive, would really approve of this performance. It's so well done, so tasteful, and it really depicts her in such a nurturing and protective light. And Matt Damon's Sonny Vaccaro plays so well off of her. There's one scene in particular where they get to meet in North Carolina, and they have such a wonderful dynamic. I enjoyed that scene so much. I felt bliss. In fact, I felt bliss throughout most of the runtime. The movie's hilarious. It makes you laugh throughout the entire thing. It was much funnier than I expected. I did not expect it to be a comedy, and it truly is a comedy. I think Ben Affleck's fine as Phil Knight, but he keeps proving time and time again that he is a far better director than he is an actor. The proof's in the pudding. He's been nominated for his directing endeavors, but never for his acting endeavors. The guy is a good actor, but he's a great director, and he needs to really focus on that in his career now. The pacing, I thought every scene was just the right length. No scene went too long. There's no extra scenes that felt frivolous or felt like they didn't add anything to the story. Everything added to the narrative, and in fact, it all came perfectly full circle to really make it feel like a cohesive piece of storytelling. My man Chris Tucker is fantastic in this movie. He's hilarious. He adds the right amount of drama, and he really makes it feel authentic. I haven't seen him this good since Rush Hour or Rush Hour 2. And it's so refreshing to see him on the big screen. And a guy that I don't see on the big screen nearly enough, Jason Bateman. I love Jason Bateman. I think everything he's in is fantastic, and I think he gives a great performance here. In fact, I think he gives one of his best performances of his entire career. And an actor that really blew me away in this movie is Chris Messina. I only know him from another Ben Affleck movie, Argo. I don't know him from really anything else. I think he was in this movie, I Care a Lot, which I found to be actually pretty entertaining on Netflix. But other than that, I haven't seen this guy in much, and he was fantastic as Michael's agent. Every time he was on screen, he brought so much charisma, so much screen presence, and I really thought he was fantastic. There's one scene in particular where he's on the phone with Matt Damon, which happened several times, but the one scene in particular, he's talking about gargling balls or something, and it's hilarious. Hilarious. And Marlon Wayans, a guy I really don't see in anything anymore, and if he is in something, it's usually one of his silly spoof movies. I thought he gave a great performance in the 5 to 10 minutes he's on screen. I thought he was really good. Now, there's a creative decision done in this movie that I think is so brilliant. They never fully depict Michael Jordan in this movie. In fact, it's really more so about the characters around Michael. From the trailers, I really didn't think Michael was in this movie. He is in this movie, And they do such a creative thing, they never show him fully. They show him from the back, they show him in shadows, they show him with something blocking his face. Absolutely brilliant, because what that does is it builds mystery and intrigue around a guy that we all know, we've seen, even if you're not into basketball or sports, you know Michael Jordan's face. And what it did is it removed any type of conflict about the actor's appearance, any type of focus on him. It removed all of that, and it made it about Viola Davis's Dolores. It made it about Matt Damon's Sonny. It made it about the shoes themselves, and make no mistake, the shoes are a major character in this movie. Without the shoes and the work done by Mr. Peter Moore, played brilliantly by Matthew Mayer. I've never seen him in anything, but I thought he did fantastic portraying this guy. I don't know if his lisp is real or not, but if it's not, great job, man, because that sounds like a real lisp. He killed it as the guy that designed the Jordan 1s. The Jordan 1s, the most famous shoes possibly in history. The ones that he wore his rookie season. The ones that are black, white, and red. They broke the rules in the NBA. In the NBA, shoes had to be white with just an accent color. But they said, screw it. We're going to add black, and we're going to add more red, and we're going to pay any fines that are going to be accrued because it's worth the publicity that we're going to get from these sneakers. And sure enough, they were so right. And the movie's much funnier than I expected. The whole way through, it was getting laughs out of me. Really funny movie. What I enjoy the most about this movie is the fact that in hindsight, Michael Jordan being the greatest is duh. But in the year 1984, before Michael ever stepped foot onto an NBA court, it was all an enigma. It was all a mystery. This kid could have just been another kid. Could have been a guy that was okay in the NBA. He could have been a guy that maybe was an all-star once or twice. But Sonny Vaccaro, with so much fervor, so much passion, and so much aggression, pursues Michael because he sees something in Michael that perhaps only 3 humans on planet Earth saw in Michael. Michael's mother, Dolores, Coach Dean Smith of UNC, and Michael himself. And these are the 3 characters that really, truly knew the greatness of Michael Jordan. But Sonny Vaccaro, with such a keen eye, noticed that 18-year-old freshman Michael Jordan, in the most clutch moment of the entire season, was given the ball. Coach Dean Smith overlooked Michael's teammate James Worthy, a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest guards of all time. He overlooked James Worthy to give an 18-year-old Michael the ball. Trusted the result of the game with an 18-year-old Michael. And not only that, but Michael was so calm and so poised and so eager to get that ball that Sonny knew he had to give everything to get him to sign to Nike. Because at this point, Nike's the underdog. Nike's the guy that has nothing going for it. Converse is the big dog. That's the guy that has Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Julius Dr. J. Irving. They have these guys, and they have many, many more players. Then we have Adidas. They have a pretty large amount of players, not nearly the amount that Converse has, but twice the amount that Nike has. Nike really at this point has no face of their basketball division. So Sonny had the brilliant idea to take all of their money and instead of giving it to a couple players, just give it all. Give it all to this one guy. The ultimate risk. Sonny was a lifelong gambler. He's a guy that loves gambling. He's still alive, and you could actually listen to interviews of him recently on several ESPN shows, and he really praises this movie and the way it represents all the events that took place. In fact, he had a creative say in what had happened. He really gave direction and advice to Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, the 2 producers of this movie. But it's just a story of the underdog. It's a story of triumph. It's a story about if you see something and you believe it with your heart, go after it. Go for broke. Because if you don't, you may regret it for the rest of your life. And I think this movie does that so well. It portrays that moral, that lesson so well. And it's just a feel-good story. It's an American story. It's a story of you can make anything out of yourself in this country if you really believe and really go for it. And for that, I love Air. Go watch Air in theaters. Go see it. It's worth seeing it. It's worth paying the $10, $12, $13, $14, $15 you have to pay for a ticket because it is a great time and you will leave the theater feeling good. And I have to commend Amazon Studios. I feel a certain way about Amazon, but that's irrelevant here because Amazon Studios put out a quality movie. And how did they put it out? Well, very simply, they trusted the creators that they were hiring, unlike all these other studios. Specifically, I'm talking to you, Disney. How are you going to hire all these creative minds and not trust them? You can't have executives meddling with the creative process. You have to let the creators create. And Amazon did it here, and it is truly glorious. It is a triumphant film, and I am going to watch it again, that's for dang sure. My Letterboxd score is a 4.5 out of 5, so clearly I think highly of this movie. Objectively, I think a 4 out of 5 is fair, but I'm such a sucker for basketball. I'm such a sucker for a good underdog story, and I'm such a sucker for 80s nostalgia, particularly the music, that I boosted this to a 4.5 because I love this movie. It's fantastic. Go see Air and support your local theater. If you like what you saw in this video, subscribe to my channel. Plenty of more content coming out. Like, comment, share. Anything can help me big time. And I will see you guys soon. Tay out.